Right, hello and welcome back finally to the Orgs Talks podcast, brought to you by Organised Artwork. If you don't know me, my name's Charlie. I'm an artist who isn't really making as much art as they'd like to right now, so I'm using this podcast as my little creative outlet. Now, the topic of Orgs Talks is talking about art that's not just your whitewashed galleries painting in a golden frame up on the wall. It is your films, your TV shows, video games, books, theatre shows, music, not really music, and all of that kind of on top of your mainstream art. Now, what I do on these is I find a little bit of culture that I like out in the world, write a little text about it. These texts are of varying qualities, but I write a text and this is then put into speech audio format through this podcast, and you guys get to listen to what I think about art in the world. Now, you're most likely using one of these formats right now, but the Orgs Talks podcast can be accessed on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and YouTube, which I forgot to say last time. Thank you, Charlie, but I'm going to have to stop you there. Hello, boys and girls, it's Editing Charlie here. I wanted to pop in to give a little side note on the video you're about to watch or listen to. It was recorded about 7 or 8 weeks ago now, and at the time I really didn't think it was strong enough, so I've come back recently and kind of chopped and changed a few bits around, so it might be a bit all over the place, but I think it's still easy to follow, and I think you'll definitely enjoy it still. I'm hoping to reignite the flame of Orgs Talks, which I could never seem to really get going. But this is an attempt to get videos out that maybe I've got a backlog of, and hopefully you'll see more of me very soon. But for now, I hope you enjoy this video. On top of this, Orgs Talks is kind of cut down into a minute 30-second highlights, which do go up on the Instagram. So if you haven't got as much time to sit here for the full 10 minutes, check those out. Now, before we start with today's text, I want to mention two things. One, I'm trying to keep every episode now under 10 minutes. It's so much easier for me to edit and format, and I feel like if I have more to say, I can just put it in a part 2. So 10 minutes is like the longest you'll get out of me. And also, like all kind of forms of artistry, I'm still practicing this. So the text might be of varying quality. I might not be as present as you'd like me to be. I'm kind of all over the place with this thing still, but I'm enjoying it. So hopefully you guys will enjoy it too. So without further ado, let's crack on with this text about a film called The Christophers. Not finishing an artwork and not developing an idea completely. This is something I'm very used to, and I'm sure many other creatives have experienced themselves. Like many other creatives, I haven't made a name for myself yet, so these kind of unfulfilled concepts mean nothing to the outside world and they only impact me. Whether this be kind of a single painting, or a sculpture, or a piece of research, and many podcast scripts in my case, all of us have ideas that we haven't fully executed. But when the ideas of a past their peak artist aren't fully executed, what happens then? Julian Sklar's The Christophers are an elusive set of artworks which are yet to reach completion and are the MacGuffin and the title for this film. Starring Ian McKellen as the once famous artist Julian Sklar and Michaela Coel, a forger named Laurie Butler, hired by Sklar's children, Steven Soderbergh's The Christophers is a film which is very far away from our usual trip. Although, despite this distance, it does seem to use that obvious trope of where two characters seem to be the complete opposite of one another, but are in fact two sides of the same coin. Now, this film doesn't bring the intensity or the spectacle of what I would expect from a film on the big screen at the cinema, but that's its strongest aspect. It doesn't rely on intensity, it doesn't rely on explosion, it relies on the familiarity of this kind of mundane situation. Some of the conversations between Sklar and Laurie felt as if they'd been quoted directly from my own experiences studying the arts. And it's these snippets that were placed throughout as what a very calm and restrained film, which makes it so validating for me personally as a creative. Being able to laugh at the quips made about other artists or established creatives is there's something so glorifying as someone who is yet to kind of make their mark. And despite studying art for 8 years and still practicing it to this day, this film was my very first time since my studies that I've kind of considered the topic of authenticity, and especially forgery as well, and how these matters can affect kind of the legal or financial dimensions of art practices. Ownership is a topic which, in this film particularly, really spirals around, and writing this text hasn't really been something that I've been able to fully unpack. So I would like to expose myself to a little bit more media like this in the future that delves into this topic. It's also this contest of relevancy, which is also something which sat with me for quite a while after this film. The staying relevant, the becoming relevant, and the needing relevancy. And to be on that kind of complete opposite side of the timeline to what Sklar's on in this film is, as someone who has become very outdated and is kind of past their peak. And it made me reflect on how relevancy is never permanent, and also kind of what an artistic life can ultimately amount to in some cases. Now, I am entering the end of what is quite a short text, but I do understand that this film is incredibly similar in its themes and general direction to that of Red, which, if you haven't seen, is the show that I spoke about in the last episode of Orgs Talks. And I think it's this kind of similarity between the two which brought up a lot of signs to me about maybe the things that are brought up in this film were things that are missing or were missing from my time studying art. Is kind of the lack of validation, a lack of maybe regular circumstance, a constant countdown following me, and this kind of malnourished eagerness to challenge. So maybe if these things haven't been fully fulfilled, we might see some similar stories to these come up on Orgs Talks in the future. And there we go. I can face this way again now. There we are. We are all done. I know that was a lot shorter, but I'm still figuring out the whole text thing, still figuring out the kind of timing and format of these. And now that we've reached the conclusion of this video, it's time for me to give out an emoji. If you've been to the end of an Orgs Talks before, you'll know that I give out an emoji. So if you could please comment this on the Instagram post with the title of this episode here. Could you please comment a laptop, please? If you ever do end up seeing the film The Christophers, you'll know why this is relevant. So if you've listened or watched till this point, thank you very much, and I will see you next time round. This is Charlie Organ, signing off. You know if you know. Ta-da, lads.